Hello there, my friends. Welcome to the Glow Up Method. This is the place where we talk all things about authenticity, about growing, about transforming, and about showing up as you. Hi, my name is Natasha, and I am so honored, privileged, and excited to be your host today. Yes, today's subject is about something that is so crucial in this. How can we show up as our authentic self if we don't know who we are? So often in times in my life, I quieted myself, I silenced myself, I suppressed myself. I was a good little girl. I did everything that this world I thought was telling me to do, to be accepted, to be loved, to be supported, to be a good mom, to be a okay wife, which again was modeled for me. I was actually a pretty good wife compared to some of the wives that were modeled for me in my own personal thing. Because number one, a lot of them weren't married, or a lot of them that were married, it was very unhealthy. So in some ways, I even though I was not, in my opinion, a plus wife, I probably would give myself a solid C minus, or maybe a C plus. I don't know. You know what? I will ask the other person who could have graded me on this, on what their opinion is. But so many times in my own personal life, I simply did not honor who I was. I did not know who I was, and I literally was sending out my representative, whoever I thought this world wanted me to be, in order to be a good wife, a good citizen, a good friend, a good family member. And because I was not listening to myself, even though I thought I was, and all those sacrifices I was making in order to do so, in a lot of ways I wasn't. I mean, I was modeling to my daughter that self-sacrifice is just part of being a woman. I was modeling to my sons that, a woman's role is to just sacrifice and not have needs, wants, desires, or technically a life outside of her family of her own. And so today I had this privilege of, again, dancing with, the creator of this dance genre that I dance. And, again, it was twofold. Like, number one is there was a room full of people dancing, and he took something that he wanted to do, that was like his dream to do, and made it a reality. He did the work, and we are all benefiting from that work. And I think that that's such a beautiful thing. And then secondly, I had a friend in there, and she has two younger kids. I want to say they're in third grade and first grade, something about that. And I was watching her, and I'm like, I'm just so proud of her for having the ability to, in some ways, have it all. She's able to have her career. She is able to be an amazing mom to her two kids. I don't know about the relationship with her husband. We don't talk much about that, but I'm going to assume she's a great wife as well. And also, she has carved out this time for her to be able to have this whole dance community. She goes and she gets certified. She goes to many different clubs because she enjoys lots of different genres. She finds this time. And as far as it looks like from the outside, I don't see any guilt. I don't see any shame. I don't see any of that. And I'm so proud because she's doing something I didn't really, number one, I didn't know dance fitness existed. But number two, I didn't know how critical caring for oneself was in the scheme of your relationships. I didn't realize. And so every time I see her, because she's younger than me, she's in her 30s, and I see her doing it, I'm like, wow, this is a beautiful thing to see, that she's able to unapologetically be her and know that she needs to fill her tank in order to show up better at her job, better as a mom, better as a family member and a friend. And I love that. I just love that. It took me a real long time. I was unable to do that, or didn't even know that it was really a possibility. And anybody that I knew that I would see, like any other moms that were out, going out with their girlfriends and doing all these things, there was a part of me that judged. And again, like I say, I feel really bad for that. Now, I'm not really bad, but I realize this isn't the way I want to be living. But, to me, it was like, oh, well, they're not a good mom because they're out, going out for drinks with their friends and they're getting appetizers and they're not doing this. And now that I've had some distance between it, just because they chose to go out with their friends and have drinks and appetizers doesn't mean they're a bad mom. I mean, perhaps they were a better mom than I was just because I was physically there. Some days I was completely drained and exhausted and depressed. And maybe I really could have used an afternoon out with friends to kind of, relieve some of the angst and anxiety and overwhelm that I was experiencing. And, I always had this belief, probably because my mom had left, that like anything I did was abandoning them. And I just couldn't do that. Like if I literally went for a walk at the mall, it was like that time could have been spent with the kids. If I went and bought myself a smoothie, that money could have been spent on the kids. If I did anything, I'm enjoying this and they're not. And I felt guilt and I felt unworthy of that. And so if anything, this process has taught me that it's okay to go and explore what things I like. It's okay for me to spend money that I work for and I earn on myself to go see a movie. It doesn't mean that I'm a bad mom because I didn't go buy them a new shoes or I didn't take them to the movies with me. It just means that I'm a person and I'm entitled to a seat at that table too. And I think sometimes that like for me, that challenge has been ever present because in order to be a good mom, I really thought I needed to sacrifice who I was. And so what this journey has taught me was to, number one, figure out who I am. Like ask myself the questions, like what is it I enjoy? What foods do I enjoy? What activities do I enjoy? What things am I curious to try and maybe I will enjoy and won't enjoy? And so I think that that's such a beautiful thing, is to honor who you are. I know for 1,000%, there's been so many things I haven't done out of fear of judgment, out of fear of hearing somebody else's opinion. There's been so many things I haven't shared with people because I don't want to hear their opinions or their judgment. And knowing that it may not be a supported decision. And so, today, I went and had, Chris and I got up and we went to the farmer's market. We walked to farmer's market and, we saw one of his clients there. We ended up grabbing some lunch, and it was really nice to have like this ability to have like a little bit of conversation in regards to like what we're doing and what we're exploring right now. And, as he calls it, he's like, I'm dating my wife and I'm really enjoying my time right now with her. And I said, it's really important for me to have this honesty, and it's important for us to have this time because we are entering a different phase in our lives, whether it be together or not. Our kids are getting older. Our 20 plus years of every weekend being dominated by sports, soccer, kids, cheer, baseball, whatever it may be, is phasing out. Like I was telling you yesterday, it's almost like we're, you can see the end of the chapter here. I mean, there's, my son's a junior, he, after this high school season ends next month, then there's going to be, only one more high school, soccer experience until we have grandkids or something like that. So, that part of it. And even so much as the weekends go and that whole thing, like it is on borrowed time per se. Like there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and it's been a beautiful experience. Not having a mom and being able to show up as the best like mom that I possibly could be has been such a gift and a blessing. I'm so honored to have had the opportunity to create these enormous bonds with my kids and to have been there. And even in the hardest of days, like those days, I actually, even though they were torturous, are some of my favorite moments with them because I was able to watch and witness their resilience. I was able to witness their struggle and how they came out of it even better because of it. And so it reminds us that we can do hard things. But life doesn't have to be hard. And I think for so many years, because my life has been so challenging, I really had this impression that it needed to be hard. Like life was just hard and I needed to have all this extra grit and things. And so like I've said on here before, is I'm really entering this phase where there's more compassion, nurturing, and empathy to my own experience and having this safe platform to say, what is it I want? So like I say, we're, navigating this odd experience, right? Where again, I thought I was done with Chris. I thought he was done with me. And I thought I was okay with that until suddenly I wasn't. And so now I'm in the process of exploring, well, why is that? Was it my ego? Was it, the end of a era of a family? Or is it I really enjoy his company? And so having this newfound experience where we're exploring each other and spending time together, it's delightful. It's nice to be able to say, hey, let's go to the farmer's market. And it doesn't have to be, let's ask the whole family and make it a whole, because they're going to say no anyways, they're asleep. But to just walk around and enjoy a beautiful day, just spontaneously go and grab lunch and experience something new together has been very, very refreshing. I'm enjoying these moments, and I'm enjoying hugging. And I'm not a hugger. I hadn't been. I wasn't, and now I'm suddenly a hugger. And I like that nurturing, and it's foreign to me, and it's a pleasant surprise. Like I am grateful for that. I am grateful to get to explore this side of me without judgment. And if I want to hug, instead of being like sitting there and waiting and hoping he'll know, I will ask for it. I will go and get initiate the hug. I'm more or less taking my life by the reins. I am not in a position any longer to live my life waiting to see what's going to happen or waiting to see if somebody else can show up. I am very observant. And I am very cognizant of my role of being able to communicate in a relationship. We are both aware that if things are to work, there is a lot of healing that must happen. But we're both also aware that the person we're showing up today is different than the person that showed up before. And so I can't continue to judge Chris based on who he was yesterday, last month, last year, or 10 years ago. All I can take for my own peace is who he is showing up as now. And if I really, really honor and appreciate that, that gives me some form of safety and security, because I know from my own experience, I am not the same person I was last week, last month, last year, or 10 years ago myself. So if I can change and I can make signs and showing growth, then I believe he can, if that's what he's willing to do. Again, we talked about that yesterday. You have to be willing to want to change in order to change. Is he willing? I don't know, right? Like, I know who he's showing up. Is he actually doing so? Yes. I know he is asking me how my day is. I know he is telling me something nice every evening. I know he's making active participation in caring, simple things like making sure the blanket is on me. There is a level of care where for a long time I didn't feel that care. I felt actually like he enjoyed, this is how I felt, I'm not saying it was the truth, but it felt like he enjoyed seeing me suffering cold without a blanket. It felt like he enjoyed seeing me in pain, because again, like I say, not because he wanted to see me in pain. I think just hurt people, and I think he was hurting. And so his way of punishing me was to see me hurt. And so, it's nice to feel care for somebody, and it's nice to feel cared for by somebody. And I really, 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 really appreciate that. And I'm grateful for that moment with him. And I'm grateful that we can laugh. We can have the hard conversations. We can, we can do things and kind of hopefully move forward together. But before we get to the understanding of who is me is most important. You figuring out who you are and showing up in this world unapologetically, independently of what anybody else is going to do. Because I can sit here and hope and pray and wish that Chris will change. But that change ultimately is on him just as much as it is me. What is his why? What is his motivation? What is it he wants? What are his goals? What are his values? That is all on him. It is up to me to decipher if that is still something that will work with my life and move forward. And it's just interesting, whether it be him, whether it be somebody else, to go through this process, because we never dated. Like, we kind of dated, we were thrust into this really, really traumatic life where suddenly it was like, after 3 months of knowing each other, you're pregnant, and then I had a baby 3 months early, and then there was a heart surgeries, and he was born, like, it was so full of chaos and trauma. And there were many other things going on, and many, many, many. And then the next one, I get pregnant and put on bed rest, and there's 9/11, and there's just a plethora of things that are happening around us, inside of us. There's financial crises. There's just so much stuff that's happening. It's hard to even catch your bearing. And so who else to like not, like who else is easier than your significant other than to take out all these stressors on? And again, at the end of the day, we were just kids. We were just kids. I was, 22 when I met Chris, and I was just a kid, and I did the best I could for all these years, and he's done the best he can. But also, like, it's just, there's a big world out there and a lot to explore and things like that. And so who knows what's going to happen, but I'm really happy to have this opportunity, this maturity, and this growth. But it all begins with me. It begins with figuring out what it is I want. It begins with me communicating to others what is that need, what is that want, what is that desire. And then what happens, I can't control. But what I can control is how I show up. What I can control is communicating. What I can control is being the best version of me possible. And so today, in today's class, the theme was about like how, in a lot of these dance classes, it's choreographed. And so there's planning, there's practicing, there's remembering. And the whole premise of this genre is you learn patterns and then you plug and play them. So you can put these patterns into any music. And you know how oftentimes when we're in a new situation, we start talking really fast and we're uncertain. And so one of the things that this dance style talks about is, instead of getting all anxious and over talking and doing all these things, is to kind of calm down and slow down. Slowing down the nervous system, slowing down our things instead of just reacting so that we can respond the way we want, is a beautiful, beautiful tool to have in the arsenal, right? And so how it applies here is like the patterns that you learn can be applied anywhere. Like this, the pattern I learned in my health and wellness journey, I can apply here. The pattern I learned in improving my relationship with my children, I can apply here. The pattern I learned with my work and my work ethic, I can apply here. We are learning simple patterns. We are learning simple concepts and ideas. It's all about consistency. It's about small actions daily over time, and that creating this beautiful, beautiful outcome for yourself. Or sometimes if there's small actions over time and they're not healthy, that it could be an unhealthy reaction, right? Depending on what our patterns we're doing. But really taking this time to understand and decipher and practice using these tools, practice creating these habits, practice creating these patterns, we can plug and play along the way and make our lives so much easier than they have to be. Life doesn't have to be hard. Most of the successful people in the world, they've done it by simple processes. I mean, there's so many different ways in which you can be successful in any, like if it's with finances, with your relationship, whatever it is, like success is defined by you. There were so many times in my life where, yes, people would tell me, oh my gosh, your stories, they inspire me, you inspire me, things like that. And I always had this want and this desire to help other people, to reach other people, to talk to people. But I also was like, who am I? Like, I don't have a certification to do this. I didn't go to school for this. Like I doubted who I was, and I made myself really small until the day like yesterday where I was like, I finally just said, yes, let's just do it. Let's, a year ago yesterday, I should say, but just sit down and do it and see where it goes. Don't be so obsessed on the outcome. Don't be so obsessed on making it perfect. Just do it and show up, and it will work out. And so here we are, like I'm making sure my son has a soccer game this evening, and I had dance, and I was at a farmer's market and lunch, and I want to make sure I have time to get this in because it's important to me. You are important to me. Having this work is so rewarding and pleasurable. It is important to me. And hearing back that I've helped somebody along in their day, or if they've thought about something that I've said, It's so beautiful. And so I'm just really grateful to be in this position and to know you and to have you get to know me and our stories, because they're all of our stories, they're all together. They all bleed together like a big quilt, and we are all working together to be better and help improve this world and release some of those shackles that are holding us back. I was holding me back. Nobody told me all those years you can't go to the gym. Nobody told me you can't eat healthy. Nobody told me you can't walk. Nobody told me, you have to be with your kids 24/7 in order to be a good mom. Nobody said those things to me. These were stories I created on my own based on my own perception. And I ran with it. And I know maybe society and the world has contributed to that, but I went with it. And now being in the position to not only see that I know that it isn't true, that I have to be with my kids all the time in order to be a good mom, in order to see other people out in this world navigate their life their way, it's just a beautiful thing. I think it's so important to see that not everything has to be one way. And her dancing doesn't make her a bad mom. And like I said, her dancing and finding a community and a life outside of her family, on the contrary, I think it makes her a great mom. I think it makes her an amazing human being who is embracing who she is and loving who her spirit is and how she shows up when she moves in her body and how she shows up to her friends and her community. And so I say all this to say, like, it's really important for you, number one, to discover the things that you like to do. And number two, give yourself permission to do them unapologetically. Like, I know we are so worried about singing in public because, I don't sing like Beyonce or Taylor Swift or whoever you think is a phenomenal singer. I don't sing like that. I'm not a trained vocalist, but I'm going to have a good time and I'm going to sing it wherever I am, whether it be in a dance class or a yoga class or sometimes in Costco and sometimes just walking down the street, because it makes me feel alive. And I know somebody may look at me and be like, what's this girl singing over? That's on them. That's their work. That's their thing to do. My job is to show up who I am. And I know people may be like, have their opinion, like she doesn't sing good, she shouldn't, whatever you want to do, that's okay. I'm over here living my life, enjoying it. Same goes with my relationship with Chris. I know there are people even in my own household that don't understand, don't support, and don't like the fact that I am at this moment dating my husband. It just sounds so weird. But there are some people that support it. And at the end of the day, that's great too. It's a bonus. But I am in support. He is in support. We are both understanding this is what we want to do. And I think that's really important. And I think it's important to show. And again, I have the cognizant. I know who I am. I know that there is a part of me that is just like fixing my old Bertha, car that's 200,000 miles and investing my time and energy in that versus, taking the time to find a new car and all the difficulty that goes with that and change and all these things. And I know this would be great. I know it'd be lovely to have a heated seat again and all those things. But I also know that there is a time for everything. And right now, my time is to see what would happen if I just invested in this thing. And so I'm choosing to invest my time, my energy, and my resources into Chris. And I'm having a good time doing it. There's no harm at this point. And perhaps it will make things, if things didn't work out, a little bit harder down the road. But wouldn't it be great if it worked out? I mean, in some ways, right? Like, if I'm going to put the energy into anyone, why not put it into my husband? If I'm going to put the energy into anybody, why not put it into the person who, in sickness and health, has primarily been there by my side for 25 years and is the father of my 4 kids? And I know it's a weird thing. It's a weird thing. It's a weird thing for me. But I know out there, somebody, some way may understand, or somebody out there may give themselves permission to either stay or leave based on this. And that's what I want to share, is like, there is no right or wrong answer unless it comes to you. Whatever you feel for your life is the right or wrong answer, right? Like, is the right answer, I should say. Like, whatever you want to do, that's what you should do. That's what you should explore. That's what you should discover. And we don't need to rush things. Like, things don't need to be on this expedited timeline. We are moving along as we are. We are in separate households most of the time, although we spend a lot of time together. And so, you know, he is here, I am there. And, you know, when we're not working and doing other things, or we go to soccer games together or things like that. So we were taking walks together. We're developing this relationship together. And I think it's a very cool thing. And so I say all this to say, really take this time to explore who you are. You are beautiful. You are perfect. You are uniquely you. Your gifts are meant to be shared with the world. Your life is not an extension of somebody else's life. Your life is not a duplication of somebody else's life. Your life is for you to live. You are the one who is supposed to be going out there and exploring who you are and sharing your gifts and your glow and your shine with the world. It is filling up with you. It is brimming in you, and it's ready to come out and be shared with all of us. And we want it. And I want to give you permission to be who you are unapologetically, independent of anybody. So when you lay your head on your pillow at night, you are proud of who you are. You are proud of your decisions. You do not regret what you have done or did not do. And yeah, of course, there's moments we all have things that we're like, oh my gosh, why did I do this or whatever. That's part of the process. That's learning. That's saying, all right, that doesn't align with me. I don't like that. Let's make some adjustments going forward. But don't beat yourself up about it. You know, just be who you are and enjoy that. And so I say all of this to say, I'm so proud of you. Please tell me, how are you going to show up as you? Like, who do you need to be honest with about something that you didn't want to say because you didn't want to hurt their feelings? Or is there something you wanted to do? Is there something you wanted to try? Is there something you wanted to eat? Is there something you wanted to explore that you're like, no, I don't want to upset anybody. You want to avoid the conflict. You want to people please, accommodate, all those things. Listen, your life is ticking by. That is their life. If you're doing or not doing things out of this hope to keep somebody else in peace, you're wasting your life away. You are wasting your life away. So it is time for you to grab your life and get to living it. So I am so proud of you. Thank you for showing up. Please go out there today. Give somebody a big smile. Give them a compliment and just watch how they glow up. So thank you. Bye.